You're right there, Mark here with a impromptu, no script video of what these books here have to do with my 3D printer. I'll explain in a minute. Okay, so as you can see here, we got some old fantasy dwarf books here, 6th and 7th edition, unless I'm mistaken. Now, if you've been following me on social media and stuff like that, you may know the actual answer to this, and if you read the title to the video, you'd know what's going on. I've had it for some time now, I mean a long time, an itch to do a dwarven force for fantasy style regimented battles. So I've been able to acquire some books, 6th edition and 6th edition here, loving the lore and the artwork in it, and then the same for this 7th edition book here. Now, I'm absolutely in love with the models, the lore, everything about it. I just love it. I love it, love it, love it. But when I was younger, I did want to have a dwarf army. However, for multiple reasons, couldn't afford it. Couldn't afford it. Way out of my price range. But then I was like, well, let's have a little look on eBay for some of these classic models, because a lot of them are out of production from Games Workshop, Citadel and stuff at the time. And they are going for a pretty penny. A bit too rich for my taste. Absolutely fine. To a certain extent. It kind of knocked my, ambition away. And then I was like, one thing led to another. I was like, looking at 3D printing. Been looking at it for a little while now. Over a year. And certain things happened due to the hobby. Where I was like, nah, come on, got to pull the pin on it. And I went out. I got a 3D printer. Alright. And I was like, then this came back to my mind going, I've got a 3D printer. Why don't I print out an army? And that's where I came to this point here. So I got my dwarf books. I was like reading through going, oh, I really want to have one of each unit. I love having variety. I love it, I love it, I love it. I never really got to play fantasy a lot when I was younger, so I can't actually remember that much about how it would play. And I'm looking not just at fantasy, I'm looking at a lot of different game systems. One-page rules, for example. Warhammer Fantasy Project. Lots of different ones. I just want a big thrall. A big force of dwarves to play around with. You got Kings of War as well. I was looking at Kings of War before I got the 3D printer. And I'm just absolutely in awe with it. Alright. So let's just crack on to the desktop screen. And I'll show you my trail of thought as I was going forward with this plan. Now we're on the desktop. And my trail of thought was back in the day, I really loved these large army boxes you used to be able to get. Okay? And this one here is very iconic for me because I wanted to go and get it on one of my birthdays. And regrettably, they had sold out at the time. Can't remember why, but they had sold out. And then one thing led to another, I just never got the army box. Let's get a better shot of it. This one here. So you got your Rune Lord, your warriors, your Longbeards, I want to say, then your Quarrelers, and then 2 lots of artillery, which was like an organ gun and a cannon. This is your stereotypical dwarven army back in the day. And I was like, okay, so I got my 3D printer, and I started looking around the internet for 3D printed dwarf files. But I wanted them to be uniformed. Because I know you can go on to 3D Cults, Thingiverse, many places out there. And, you know, My Mini Factory and stuff like that, you can get files. However, as I said, I want them to look uniform, not different scales, not different designs. I wanted it to harken back to this aesthetic here. That's why I'm doing this army. It's like a, inverted commas, midlife crisis, shall we say, of getting back into the hobby. And then I came across on my travels on Facebook, Highland miniatures. Now, a lot of this stuff wasn't here when I first came across them, because it has been a couple months. But just the aesthetic from them absolutely blew my mind. Now, they are celebrating this month, so the month of June is their 3-year anniversary. And just look at that. Just look at that. That is your Brewmaster that they're giving away in their Patreon. I found out they had a Patreon. So I signed up to their Patreon. Let's scroll up to the top. And they got a multitude of different forces that they do. So I then, you know, made my way over to my mini factory for their store. And they got different forces. Galal, Transylvania, Sunland, Swamp Goblins, and the Dwarves. So if I go on to the Dwarves, and obviously it loads, here it is. This is basically everything, bar a few units, I will say, bar a few units, that I'd ever want for a Dwarven force. And I was blown away. I was absolutely blown away by this. By the options, by the selection on here. Just this one faction itself. Now, the only thing that's missing from here, just letting you all know, the only thing that's missing that I can remember off the top of my head, because there's stuff being released this month, I'll fill in a lot of the gaps, is a Goblin Hewler thrower. It's the Slayer's war machine, where it just throws axes. That's the only thing that's missing that I think is potentially in the pipeline for in the future. But I just absolutely love it. Now, I know some people are a little bit funny going, oh my god, there's mounted dwarves and stuff like that. Yes, this also works in tandem with other game systems, not just Warhammer Fantasy. You got Army Project, you got Ninth Age, you got one-page rules, you got Mantic, you got many, many other systems out there that these dwarves will work in, and I'm absolutely ecstatic with it. They fit nicely in Age of Sigmar as well, so if you want to do Dispossessed, you can do. They are made and sculpted for 32mm scale. So when I 3D printed these ones out from their files, is recommended, it's your own choice, to scale them down to 85 to 88, 89%. I went for 89%. I felt they were chunky enough and so on and so forth, but they fit well with the older fantasy models. So I got gifted some from the Patreon, and I went out and I bought some files. And then my printer went and started printing. So let us transition over to the actual main screen with all these minis and show you what I've been up to. Okay, and we're now back. This is my Dwarven force that I've got printed so far, bar a few little extra bits over here. Now, to put it in retrospect, what I've got here, I've got plenty more in the pipeline to do. Now, I've got Dwarven Lords. So, one wielding axe, one wielding a hammer, and it comes with a very, very dynamic, like, centerpiece model, like a throne. I got a rune smiths. I love the fact that a lot of the characters from Highland miniatures have a male and a female sculpt in the pack. It isn't just one sculpt. Absolutely love it. So as you can see here, here's your engineers. Very classic style to the engineers. I do like. This was the Ranger style Lord that was sculpted previous month. Absolutely love it. I was painting this one up on stream to figure out my color scheme for the force going forward. Then I was like, I need to have a structure going forward for that, like, you know, the print an army in a box. So I grabbed the file for the warriors. As you can see here, let's grab the sergeant from the warriors. And there you go. He is definitely looking the part. Really, really pleased with them. And the nice thing about the file setup is you can have the standard warriors pack, but then you buy the two-handed upgrade set and you use the command from the warriors set, and I printed myself out 20 hand weapon and shield dwarves, and as you just saw there, 20 with great weapons. So that was a start to my core. Then I was like, wait a minute, I need to get my quarrelers, I need to get my crossbow, my range. So as you can see here, in the back, if my fingers won't fail me, I print out 20 crossbow wielding dwarves as well. Really, really loving the sculpts. And the pre-supports from Highland miniatures didn't fail me once. Oh, sorry, that tell word of lie. It did fail me on one point where certain keys were very, very delicate, but I yanked them off. I didn't realise they're there, so they broke. So it wasn't so much the support's fault as me being a bit chubby fingered and not helping myself. So as I said, we've got the lords. Oh, sorry, we've got the heroes done. We've got the lords done. We've got the core done so far. And then let's crack on with a few special units. And I've got my hammerers here. Really, really pleased with them. Very dynamic. Very imposing. And they do come, Highland miniatures do support some free square base files. So I did print out a bunch of these, but then I realised I might as well stay with standard ones. But as you can see here, really, really loving the sculpt, the design, and they're sturdy. I've actually dropped these a few times, and touch wood, they haven't broken on me. So I'm really, really happy with them. Really happy. There you go. And then let us crack on with a little bit of artillery, because who's a dwarf player without any artillery? Let's grab the classic cannon. So this will be coming up in a future video, how I do these little display movement trays. But this here, so pleased with this. This was one file that you purchase, which comes with a cannon, an organ gun, and a flamethrower. And this grudge wall. And it just printed an absolute dream. A lot of character to these models. Absolutely love them to bits. And before anyone says this video is not sponsored, I haven't even let the creator or creators know that I'm doing this. And then this was the latest Patreon giveaway that they done, and that was the Rangers. Now I haven't printed out the mounted cavalry yet, but these came out an absolute delight. Really, really nice. I really do like that these are multi-posable, because you can have the option where they're holding crossbows, or they're holding axes, great axes, throwing axes, all sorts of different ones. So I'm really, really pleased with those ones. So all in all, so far I've actually got quite a lot printed off. I've got 4 units of core. I've got some special units, some rare units, but on top of that, also printed out a little bit of scenery that comes with some of these models. Scaled them down equivalently, 89%. It's just really nice. A little bit of scattered terrain that you can put around your battlefield. Like the dwarves are trying to put a blockade up. Really, really nice. And as I said, I've got a certain flamethrower to show off in the near future. Really, really happy. And also with these artillery pieces, there's two different sculpts for each one. One is deployed and one is moving around. Now this one here, to my knowledge, is the moving around variant. It still has the wheels, whereas the deployed one has the wheels down. So I'm really, really pleased with those. But yes, if I let the cat out of the bag about the pricing of this, or wait a minute, before I go on to that, I am fully aware that I won't be able to take this army up to places such as Warhammer World. I'm fully aware of that. Fully aware of that. But it's not as though I don't want to add other IP'd dwarves into this. Force, Games Workshop, Mantic, Avatars of War, so on and so forth. But I'm fully aware this one won't be allowed at Games Workshop. I'm fully aware of that. So, pricing of this army, let's just say the prices of the files and the resin. Not going to take into consideration my time and effort to print it, electric, cleaning materials, PPE, things like that, because that's a bit difficult. But sheer costs of the resin and the files. The files, when I joined up as a patron, you get half price off their my mini factory. That cost me in total all this, because I got those ones included in the Patreon and him, £65 for all these files. And I can print out more hammers, I can print out more of it. Alright. The resin was one bottle of any cubic standard resin. And I didn't use up the whole bottle. That cost me about £25. So all in all, 65 plus the 25, £90. Round up to 100 to allow for a bottle of isopropyl alcohol. This, if you bought this all like actual plastic miniatures, metal miniatures, resin miniatures, stuff like that, you're never going to get close to that price. You're never, ever going to get close to that price. It doesn't take a rocket scientist for people to figure out the price. But this isn't a video about pricing. This is just me showing off why I wanted to do this. I never had the chance to do it. And I was just like, you only live once. And it was just an amazing thing to do. And I'm excited when I have a little bit more free time to crack on and get these ones painted. So any and all feedback is very much welcomed. I'm gonna finish the video there. I've waffled on enough. This video has gone on longer than I thought it would, but I did want to just show you the full works, how I went around it, my process behind it, and like the actual cost of it per se. I'll put links into the description down below to Highland miniatures. Go and show them some love. As I said, they got multiple different armies on there as well. It's not just dwarves. You don't have to worry. It's not just stunties, as the green skin players would like to say. But anyway, thank you so very much for watching through to the end. Like, comment, subscribe, hit that bell. The usual YouTube algorithm helps stuff out there. I do have affiliate links and social media links down in the description. Please have a look. All support is very much appreciated. And I'll leave you, and you all take care of yourself. I'll catch you in the next one.